Welcome to the Pretty Powerful Podcast, where powerful women are interviewed every week to share real inspiring stories and incredible insight to help women or anyone break the barriers, be a part of innovation, shatter the glass ceiling, and dominate to the top of their sport, industry, or life's mission. Join us as we celebrate exceptional women and step into our power. And now, here's your host, Angela Gennari.
Hello, welcome to the Pretty Powerful Podcast. My name is Angela Gennari, and I am sitting here with Romana Hasenöhrl. How are you, Romana?
I'm fine, thank you. And thank you so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So you are all the way from, is it Austria?
It's Austria, Salzburg, Austria, the very famous city of the sound of music.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I'm sure it's absolutely beautiful there. I've never been, but I would love to go. So that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much. And I know the time difference and everything else, so I will be very mindful of that. So I want to introduce Romana to our audience. So Romana has overcome so many life-changing situations, but two of them might help people on their own way. In 2003, she had a bad accident in skydiving, and in 2012, she lost her job in the media industry at the age of 44. With this, she not only lost her job, but her long-term dream job. After 1 year of struggling, Romana lost everything else: partner, friends, confidence, security. By the end of 2013, she did not know how to pay her rent. She then founded her own company as an astrological coach and got back on her feet. Since 2015, Romana has published 8 books. 3 are off to get published until the end of 2022 and 2023. She offers writing workshops for people who want to overcome the fear of getting started with their first book. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm super excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited too.
Good. So tell me about the accident and what led to, so you were skydiving and you had a very bad accident. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I loved skydiving. So I did over 400 jumps.
Wow.
And that was really my sport.
Yeah.
And yeah, as most skydiving accidents, that was a pilot's mistake, as we call it. And the way the situation wasn't well, so altogether, we should have been more aware of what's going on. Nevertheless, my parachute collapsed.
Wow.
And I hit ground from a height. You might say it's as if jumping from a rooftop.
Wow.
Right? And that was really awful.
Yeah,
I broke my
imagine.
spine then, and that was hurtful too. And of course, in this situation, you are scared, right?
Right.
I felt it, that something has broken there. And then in the moment you think of a wheelchair, never walk again, all the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it was the first time in my life, and I was in my mid-30s then, I realized that we don't live forever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Our body is very destroyable, if you might call it this way, vulnerable. And it then came to years of self-development and thinking more about how precious life is.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It can be over tomorrow. So, and that's what I can tell my clients nowadays, if they are very bad with themselves, they push themselves so hard and don't get time off. And I say, hey, it can be over tomorrow. Don't do that to you. Be kind to yourself. That's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we don't do enough of that, of just taking care of ourselves and enjoying the moment and being happy in the moment. I think we are so rushed for the next goal, the next thing, the next task, and we don't stop and appreciate where we are and just enjoy life. So yes, that's really good advice. So you had this horrible accident, and I'm sure the recovery after that was excruciatingly painful, and led to you also, did that lead to you losing your job in the media industry, or was it something else?
No, that didn't. But as I got more and more aware of which person I am, which person I want to be, it led to like what I call a personality changing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I got more aware of first of all, we have to live as a community, help each other, support each other. So in my job, that's not very usual. I worked for a TV company, the biggest one in Austria, and that is an industry where it's pretty tough and everybody just looks for himself.
Yeah.
And we got a new boss, and he wanted to like cut down our salaries, you say. And we had a meeting, and I spoke for all of us, but I was the only one speaking.
Oh, no.
I didn't get that.
What everyone was thinking, but you're the one who had to take the fall. Oh, no.
I did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
In that moment, I felt great.
Yeah.
I really felt now I'm fully me, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And strong and powerful and good. And then I went on a vacation. And when I came back, I had that letter in my post box, which said, "Hey, we don't want you anymore."
Oh, no.
And that was after 17 years. That was
wow.
quite a shock for me.
Yeah, I imagine. Wow.
Yeah.
That is tough because, when you stand up to somebody and you say what's on your mind, and this is why I've been an entrepreneur for most of my life, because I've had a few corporate jobs. I'm just not good at being an employee because I will tell people how I feel. And I remember in my early 20s, I had been working for a media company, a television company, doing advertising sales. And I had this boss who was a very kind of male chauvinist, he's just a jerk.
Like mine.
And so we were going on an appointment that I had set. I had set us an appointment, and he basically had this mentality of, well, I need to go with you because kind of that you're not competent to do this on your own, even though I'm the one who got the appointment. And so as we're walking in, he's like, "You just sit there and I'll do all the talking. You just sit and look pretty." And I was like, and I tried really hard and I couldn't hold it back, but I told him to go F himself. So I lost my job that day too. But it felt great because it needed to be said. So I work for myself now because I don't have to. I don't have to tolerate people talking down to me because I'm with you. I'm with you. You have to stand in your power, and you have to, you have to say the things that are meaningful to you, right? So it matters, and it hurts your own ability to stand up in your own power if you don't take those opportunities and you let somebody take that from you. So
absolutely.
Good for you. Good for you. So, and everything leads to something better is what I believe, right?
Yeah.
So then you lost that job and you went through a really tough time, right? You went through about a year of just, you've lost everything else.
Yeah.
So
the thing was that I didn't know that with 44, you are very old for the media industry. I thought, okay, tomorrow I go get a new job. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I hit rock bottom.
Wow.
There was no chance of getting a job in that industry. And as I've been in that industry for over 17 years, you get so qualified in that field, right? What else should you do? I mean, ages ago I had studied, okay, but that was ages ago. And so after 4 months of looking for a job, I thought, no, I have to work for myself. I get self-employed and try my best. So what else can I do? I had a certificate at this time already for an astrological coaching.
Okay.
And I'm an astrologer. So I did a 3 years academy, and I loved it, but I always thought that is my hobby, right?
Yeah.
So then I founded that, and of course I had no clients. Where should they come from? Nobody knew me. So that was tough, and it led to the loss of many friendships.
Really?
Because people turned away. I was desperate. People don't like it when you're desperate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just the best friends stayed. And that's so precious and important now.
Mm-hmm.
To have that best friends from these times.
Yeah, I agree.
And after a year of really struggling hard, I started writing my first book because I thought, okay, I've got no money, but I've got time.
Yeah.
I'm a time millionaire.
I like that phrase.
Yeah. So I started writing the first book, and I was awfully lucky because I've been writing a lot for newspapers before, just for a hobby as well.
Okay.
But I didn't know how to write a book. And so I signed in for a course. And that was a 4 weeks course for writing non-fictional books. And he coached us so well that after sending 12 emails with my first chapter, I got 2 publishers interested in my book.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And one of them got me under contract, and I stayed with them for 4 books altogether.
Very cool.
So that was really amazing. And of course, that helped a lot to get back that self-confidence and that, wow, I can do something brilliant, wonderful, amazing. Not everybody's doing.
Yeah. Well, I love that because you took, what was a very painful time and you turned it into a new opportunity. And I think that's the best things come out of those dark times, right? So those dark times that you're going through and you're like, okay, what can I bring to the world? What gift can I have that I can share with other people? And that's where you really figure out your true purpose.
Absolutely. And I'd never, ever before would I have thought of writing a book.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, I did, but that was a long time ago. And now I saw, okay, I have that gift. I have that starting mentality. I know how to stick with things, to like be passionate, stay passionate.
Yeah.
And from that, then I realized that so many people struggle with exactly this topic. So I know many people who want to write a book or who love writing and say, I'd love to like make money with writing, but I'm too shy. I don't dare to do that.
Right.
So I give them support and show them how to get started, how to meet the right people, how to create your self-marketing. You need that.
Yeah,
course.
Absolutely. Yeah. So what steps would you tell people how to get started? Because that's, I think, something that a lot of people have this idea of, I'd love to write a book. I'd love to write a novel. I'd love to write an autobiography. And I don't even know how to start. What advice would you give them?
I created a 7 steps program. So I think I won't go in all 7 steps because that would take 90 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, first of all, what I always recommend is visit, for example, my webinar or a webinar of a writer you like. Let them tell you, let them get your passion glowing, right?
Yeah.
So for the beginning, because then you overcome that first shyness to even say, yes, I will write a book. And this is the next step. Then what I always want my students to do is, for the first step, the very first step, create a book cover. Take a pair of scissors, a magazine, create it this way, or you do it in Photoshop or Canva or whatever. Create it with your name on it, your name and the title. And then you print it and you put it on your fridge. And every morning you get up and get your breakfast, you see your first book already there.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah, this is like a vision board, right?
Yeah.
Vision boarding has the same effect.
Yeah.
This is like a beacon where you can sail to. I mean, you shouldn't do that in real life with your boat, but in this case, you sail directly onto the beacon.
I love that because I'm a big believer in manifesting and, creating vision boards and putting everything I'm a visual person. And so I can have an idea in my head and I have to write it down because I need to, put that in writing so I can see it. I'm a visual person. So I think that's a really great way to get started. And then it's a constant reminder of what you're trying to do.
It is. And then the next part is really before you even start your first word, you get the structure in it.
Yeah.
So what I normally do when I do my books, right, I first of all put together, what do I know already? Write it down. Bam, 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 bam. And then I write down, what do I not know? I mean, if it's non-fictional, of course, and write that down and get some experts and ask them, and then put together the first chapters.
Okay.
So you get a structure. I even work with roadmaps with my students, let them paint a roadmap where they say, okay, I start writing in May and I want to be finished, I don't know, at Christmas. So what has to happen on that way to Christmas? When? So then they like promise themselves to do that monthly goals. And I think that it only works with real good structure. Otherwise you like lose the lines, right? You think, tomorrow maybe I write or not. Blah, blah,
So
blah.
true. That is so true, because I do this all the time. I'll write a to-do list and the to-do list just continues to get longer and longer and longer because I have another list of deadlines, and that's what gets accomplished, right? Is when I put a date on it, that gets done. But if it's a to-do list, it just grows and grows and grows and grows infinitely. So, but yes, deadlines, I think, are much more, it gives you accountability for your goals, right? So yeah, I tend to work better with deadlines than to-do lists. So I love that because you're creating structure and that structure helps to guide you because that way you don't feel so lost.
Yes. And in that 7 steps, I include steps for every type of person because we are different, right?
Yes.
I know that, of course, from the astrological side, but even if you do not do astrology, you have different types of persons. Ones, if you just give them structure, they get under pressure.
Yeah.
Others, if you tell them be creative, they get under pressure because what? Creative? Oh my God. So you have to put in something for everyone.
Yeah.
For example, for the fire persons, what I call them, they need to celebrate. And this is important to celebrate your first chapter, celebrate that you've done, you accomplished what you planned to do. And give yourself some treats and good things. Or a round of applause.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. All right, that's fantastic. So as people are putting together their first book and they're taking that initial step, what advice would you tell somebody who just feels like they are just stuck in what to write? People talk about writer's block and they talk about, I don't know the next step to take. And, what if I just am not being creative that day? What would you tell them?
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
It's very important because every writer has that. And sometimes it lasts over weeks, which is really annoying. You sit there and it doesn't want to come. So first thing is you can change between computer and take a pen, for example. That's a pencil. That's a pen.
Okay.
So because this triggers different areas in your brain.
Oh, wow.
And that's why we should once in a while write per hand, even though we are in a very computerish time.
Right.
But once in a while, you should write per hand, especially when you have those writing block, because it changes your brain function. And the other thing is get out into nature.
Oh, that's great.
Before writing, 5 minutes, hug a tree, walk barefoot, whatever suits you best. But first of all, we have all the oxygen out there. I mean, not if you live in Singapore, I think, but
Right.
so let's think we're living on the countryside.
Yes.
You get out, you do a walk, at least for 10 minutes, breathe in, breathe out, and then it's again a brain thing, right? You get enough oxygen to get new ideas, your body gets relaxed, and you get more positive. And the third thing is if someone's really heavily stuck, like in the middle of a book and the deadline's like getting closer and closer, I really recommend to write somewhere else. For example, when I wrote my first book, I really didn't know all that stuff then. So I had promised my publisher about 150 pages. And I did them on the computer on a Word document, of course. So I had to think of how much is what in the smaller book size.
Oh, right.
And I completely mixed it up. So when I delivered, I had just written 100 pages. And he wrote back, okay, listen, this is not enough. We just did the layout. That doesn't work like this. And you have 1 more month to go. And I was freaking out, of course. And I really thought, what can I do? What can I do? Because I know myself when I get that stressed out. And so I really took some money I didn't have, I have to admit. And I flew to Lisbon, to Portugal, because I always wanted to visit that city. And I thought maybe there is the solution waiting for myself. And I got there and I wrote those 50 pages in a week and the thing was done. So sometimes stuff like that really helps.
Yeah, just being inspired, change of scenery. Yeah, I agree. So what inspires you when you're out and about, when you're writing? What inspires you?
For my novels, that sounds strange. I have to drive.
Oh, really? Drive. Interesting.
Drive. Not train, no plane. I have to drive, right? So I have a very old Volkswagen Camper van. It's like, those vintage cars.
Yeah.
And I like travel through Europe 4 to 5 months per year.
Wow.
And in these thousands and thousands of miles, I get the ideas for the novels.
That's
it really
beautiful.
keeps floating.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I would do without writing.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I love it. Americans were really bad at that. So we're really bad at taking time and decompressing and, taking time off of work and exploring. So I think we look to our European friends for that inspiration.
I mean, I have to admit that when I'm traveling, I still work normally because the biggest part of my income is not the book sales.
Okay.
As the German market is a very tiny one, we're not very many people. But I started or I got hired as a freelancer from a very big company who do search engine optimization.
Oh, interesting.
So I write texts for other big companies, like I don't know whatever they sell, I write for them.
Okay.
So I can do that when I'm traveling, and this is very, very, it suits my lifestyle. So I always tell the clients, okay, I'm off and away now for 8 weeks, 9 weeks, 12 weeks. And please stay relaxed. I won't answer your mails within a day because I'm sometimes in regions where you don't have internet at all. But I'm there. I'm writing. Don't worry. I'm there.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we're such a on-demand kind of culture that it's really hard. Like, just turning on Do Not Disturb to do a podcast is like, an hour of, what if there's somebody trying to reach me and they freak out if they can't reach me in an hour?
Oh my God.
I love the idea that I can tell somebody I might get back with you in a few days. They would lose their mind. Oh, I love it though. I want that power one day. So tell me, and we were talking a little bit about this, and this might be, the path too. But as women, we give away our power all the time, and we often just either shy away from taking credit, or I feel like we let people take our power away from us, and how they critique us, and we don't stand up for ourselves. So tell me about a time that somebody took your power away, or that you gave your power away, and then tell me about another time that you've stepped into your power. And what was the difference between those two situations?
I think I very often gave my power away when working for the TV company, because directors are very strange persons. I never met one who was like straightforward and what I call normal.
Yeah.
Sorry if some directors are listening. I'm so sorry. But so they like freak out because one camera is not on the right position and this and this and this. So then you always get yelled at as a director's assistant, which I was for some time. You get yelled at, and you don't get it within the moment, but you get tinier and tinier with every situation like this.
Wow.
Because this is not what I call normal between grown-ups to yell to each other, right?
Yeah.
And then you have that male-female position you've been talking about before. So I really know how it feels when you feel small and you lose your confidence, and you what I think is the most strange thing, you don't know where to go to with that pressure. Because most of my colleagues were men, of course, and they said, yeah, yell back or whatever, but they don't know how it is. If especially in my age, I have a very yelling father as well. So that is a real I think that is a very big problem for many women.
I agree.
And
it's
so
a trauma response.
It is, yeah. And so I think that was when I was weakest. And I think I really stepped up first, not in my life, but in that time when working for the company, when I told that boss, hey, you cannot cut us down to how should we make our living? And I told him, we are not students anymore. No one of us lives back home at mommy and daddy's.
Right.
So like this. And that's what felt strong. And I think we all have phases where we are better in this straightforward and weaker. So it's very important to feel, where am I at the moment?
Yeah.
And what can I say then? So I think now that I've been self-employed for 10 years and I know my clients very well, even though when new ones are coming in, I know very, very clearly how to tell them where my borders, my boundaries, what's the right word boundaries are.
Boundaries.
And so, and sometimes, of course, I get stressed as well because it's too much work, but I know now how to say, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's so important too.
Yeah.
And I think, we try to please everybody so often that we do it at the expense of ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, where, when sometimes we have dominating people in our lives as women, we tend to kind of pull back, and, it's threatening and it's intimidating. And I think that's what I wish more people would recognize, that when you're yelling at people who, you're supposed to be leading, you're not leading them, right? So I think some of the worst managers and leaders are the ones who have to make everybody else feel small around them, and in order to feel powerful. And it comes from a place of insecurity when they're doing that, right? And so that really is, I see that so often, and I think it's getting better as we as we move on, but the prior generations, when there were fewer women in the workforce, I think you saw a lot more of it. And now women are standing up a little bit more into that and saying, no, this is not acceptable. But for a long time, that was acceptable. Yeah. So very unfortunate. So tell me, why astrology? So, and I say this because I love astrology and my mother is very spiritual. And so I follow quite a bit of it, but what led you down that path? And does it make you more intuitive when you're writing?
Why astrology? I have to admit, I studied politics. So I'm a very, I was a non-spiritual, very science person, tech person.
Yeah.
But I had, before my huge accident, I had a series of like smaller accidents in different situations in my life, meaning riding motorbike or like just walking, or so 5 accidents in a row. Within 1.5 years, and I like broke my arm very bad. So all stuff which was not too easy to handle. So I then thought, because I was that person then, we have to fix that. So I went to a psychotherapist and said, maybe there are some issues, I don't know, I'm self-destroying person type.
Yeah.
And she started laughing. She found that very funny. We had a long talk, and then she thought, why don't you look at it from an astrological side? So I didn't know that she was an astrologer too, but just for hobby.
Yeah.
And I thought, this lady is completely crazy. I mean, how can you?
Yeah.
But she said, nah, there is like a lady, I know her, she's good, and she's like talking on an afternoon for 2 hours, one of these welcome sessions. Why don't you go there and listen? And I went there, and she was talking about fire person, which is Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And I sat there and thought, oh my God, she's talking about me. I cannot believe it. That was wow. So I booked a session with her. And I was one of those least wanted clients, I think, because I sat there like this and said nothing, like just, tell me. But she told me how it came to these accidents and what I should be aware of. And I was blown away. So on this afternoon, I decided that I want to do that academy. She founded an academy in Austria with the help of one very famous Swiss astrologer who has his school there in Zurich. And I went there for 3 years and really got all the knowledge you want to have about astrology.
Very cool.
Individual astrology.
Yeah.
And then I thought, that's cool now. Let's do that for friends. And now I'm there and doing it as my job next to writing. And I love it. And I have to admit, when it comes to fictional writing, it helps a lot because I have other words for describing a person, a personality.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
That is very interesting. Helps me a lot. And for the non-fictional writing, I just finished my 2nd astrological cookbook. So that was a hard project of mine to combine cooking, eating, and astrology. And a friend of mine, she's a photographer. She did all the photo shootings of the meals I cooked. It got wonderful. Oh, it's over here. Show it to you. It's wonderful. A wonderful book.
So tell me about astrological eating, because that is fascinating. I've never heard of this.
In astrology, we work with energies, right?
Yeah.
So we have, for example, let's take Aries. Aries personalities are people who they are warriors. They don't have time to think or time for anything. Everything has to be fast and adventurous. So if you invite, and I have to admit, it's not only that you are Aries, and that means you have the sun in the sign of Aries. There should be some more planets in that sign. Otherwise, it's not that heavy. But if you have one of those strong Aries personalities and you invite them for dinner, then I tell you, have it prepared. Yeah. Don't stay in the kitchen and say, I'm over in 10 minutes. He's gone then. That's not interesting. Have it on the table. And then enough time to do something else afterwards.
Oh, interesting.
Whereas a Libra, you wouldn't do that, right? Because they want to like sit there and talk and have a nice talk, and nice plates, and everything should be a bit stylish, and nice music, and you talk about arts and how life is in general, like this.
More easygoing, laid back.
That is a complete different power. Or you have the earth signs, for example. If you take what's that? Oh my God, English. Me and English. So after Aries, the next one is the one that looks like a cow. What's that in star sign language?
Not Taurus. Is it Taurus?
Yeah, no. Taurus.
Yeah, okay,
thank you. Yeah. So the Taurus is Earth, and that means they have all the time on Earth. And they are very traditional. So you don't invite a strong Taurus person and serve a sushi dinner. You don't do that. You serve something like very traditional, and you do loads of food because they wanna take here a bit and there a bit, and I like this better, I take all. So they act like this, right? Yeah. It's very important to feed the body because it's Mother Earth we are talking about in their view, right? And if you invite a Cancer personality, so it's water, they are very, very sensitive. So you always take care of, I think that's where this comes from, no politics at the dinner table, right?
Yeah.
No politics, keep that away.
Keep it light.
You don't do that,
Yeah.
Keep
interesting.
it good, and they love it when family comes together. They want a good mood. So what I did then was choose some dinners for like a soup, a salad, a main dish, and a dessert. And I choose for every sign what I think is from the energy side the right one. Okay. Which doesn't mean that everybody who is that sign loves this dinner.
Right.
But so people can understand this is the energy about this star sign. So it's a bit humorous, and there are a lot of recipes in it, and I loved it.
That's so fantastic.
We started in the first lockdown. We were just 4 months eating, cooking, taking pictures.
That sounds like fun. I would have loved to be there. I love that. Oh, wow. Very cool. So I tend to be a very strong Leo. And so it's, I am like everything a Leo is, like it's clear as day with me. And so I tend to have it's interesting. So what would you have if you had invited me over for dinner?
Oh, first of all, Italian food. This is Leo, right?
Right.
You take loads of olive oil. You don't, Leos are not those Weight Watcher types.
Right.
they want
unfortunately
the full thing. So then of course something golden forks and knives, or some nice decoration with some golden red on it.
Yes.
And then quality is very important. So if you listen to 2 Leo persons talking about olive oil, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Yes. I know a very small farmer over there in Tuscany, and he delivers me 1 liter of the best oil every year. And you can have a sip.
Yeah. Don't get me started on some of the things like when I see like syrup in somebody's house and it's not maple syrup, you'll see a whole lecture come from me in no time at all. What are you eating? It's a bottle of chemicals. You can't eat that. You cannot consume that in your body. It's not healthy. Yes. So yeah, I so agree with that. That's so interesting. So tell me, what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
Oh, don't be scared.
Yeah.
That's what I wished so that when I was 18, somebody came up like, hey, I'm your older you.
Yeah.
And everything's fine. Everything will turn out fine and for your best. It will take a while, but it will.
Yeah.
I could have used that.
I can still use that. I can still use that. I know. I think we overthink things and we worry about everything. And is this the right move? Is this the right thing? And I think ultimately everything works out exactly the way it's supposed to work out.
It does. And it's so, it's such a nice experience if you want to do that. Write now a letter to your in 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And right there, for example, about your fears or your expectations, your wishes, your dreams, what keeps you from whatever. This is so wonderful. I have like 10 letters from students here. I have to keep and send, for example, in 2023, 2024, because they've written it times ago.
Yeah.
And those who have opened one of those letters, they say, it's amazing.
Wow.
It opens my eyes. What I've been worrying about. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love that so much. All right. And then I have one more question for you. What do you wish more people knew?
I wish that more people knew that this is not a rehearsal.
Yeah.
This is your life now. Don't wait until you're 80 and then the big show begins. That's not true. It's now. The show. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love it so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's beautiful. So thank you so much, Romana. I have really enjoyed talking with you. You are so fascinating, and I am so grateful for your time today. So thank you.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Good. So hopefully we will reconnect another time, but that is it for the Pretty Powerful podcast today. I hope you can go to our website and check out Romana and say your last name for me properly.
Hasenöhrl.
There you go. I didn't want to mess that up. So thank you so much for your time. Please go like, subscribe, and share our podcast episodes. And if you go to prettypowerfulpodcast.com, you can read all about Romana and connect with her online. So thank you so much. I hope everyone has an amazing day.
Thank you for joining our guests on the Pretty Powerful podcast. And we hope you've gained new insight and learned from exceptional women. Remember to subscribe or check out this and all episodes on prettypowerfulpodcast.com. Visit us next time, and until then, step into your own power.